Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone to the Student Forum. My name is Shawn Green, and I am the Student Senate President for the current academic school year. Today, students, like past forums, will get to have the questions answered from the college administration about how the spring semester will look as we reach the end of our current fall semester. That said, this fall semester has been very unusual to say the least. As students, we have had to adjust on how we learn and interact with the college on a completely different virtual level, just like we are doing right now. Some might have felt no impact to learning, while others might have faced challenges acclimating to this environment. If we keep putting our best foot forward, though, we as students will continue to be on the right track to succeeding at the goals that we have set forth for each of us. Keep it up. Don't forget to reach out to each other, and don't forget to reach out to and utilize the services that the college provides when you do need the help. Before the Q&A portion begins, the college administration will explain the work that they have put in for the spring semester. I encourage all students to please ask their questions by putting in the chat below so that we can make sure as many questions can be answered right away. All questions are going to be reviewed to make sure that we have not already been asked or answered, and that it isn't too specific to one student's experience. Specific questions will be responded to privately by Madison College employees, and we will reach out to you to follow up as needed. Now I would like to hand it over to the president of Madison College, Dr. Daniels.
Thank you, President Green, for the introduction. And good afternoon to each of you. And thank you all for participating in this forum. I hope that your semester has been progressing well. I know that each of you, the regular rigors of college learning have been made more challenging by the health pandemic, the forces of racism, and the anxieties created and still existing related to our recent national election. As I reflect on the months since March, you as students and we as a college community have learned a lot. Indeed, 2020 has thrown more at us than any year in recent memory. Regardless of these challenges, we all have persisted. We have learned to be more patient, to grant each other grace. How many times have we each heard, "You're on mute"? We've learned to innovate in our lives as students and professionals, learning how to balance the challenges of even more complicated work and family lives. Many of you who have children are even more actively involved in their education than 10 months ago. Each of you have remained committed. You have been unstoppable. You have succeeded. I want you to know that our entire college community, the faculty, staff, administrators, will continue to support you with your educational journey throughout the rest of the semester and into the next spring. In August, I shared with you that Cabinet and I developed principles and expectations to further guide our planning for fall during this pandemic. These same principles and expectations are guiding our planning for the spring semester. At the top, providing for the health and safety of all, providing for educational programming and student support services, making sure we are fiscally sound today and for the future, and be ready to pivot. The only certainty is that health conditions will evolve over the rest of the academic year and very likely continue evolving into the 2021 to 22 academic year. Finally, we will respect all of our students and one another as we engage with one another in teaching and supporting our students. In August, when we met, the events of summer related to the killing of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter demonstrations, and the false claims that Asians were at fault for the transmission of COVID-19, among other injustices, had us rightly focused on the issues of race and ethnicity when we made this principle. But as the public discussion about the November 3rd election continues, we also need to be mindful of being respectful of fellow voters and non-voters as well. A vote for a particular candidate is not necessarily an endorsement of everything a candidate says or does. I do not mean to imply that the words and actions of everyone are to be condoned. Indeed, there was and continues to be more rhetoric from individuals that would not meet our values of respect. At Madison College, we will continue to promote and advance a culture that encourages respect for all. As we continue to strive to provide a quality and safe learning experience for each of you, our students, we will continue to have a more limited presence of students and employees on campus in the spring as we have had this fall. Faculty, their class assignments will guide what presence they need to have on campus. And I've asked that outside of their need to be in the classroom or the lab, they try and otherwise limit their presence on campus and work from home, continuing to engage you and your student peers through video chat, email, or calls outside the classroom as they have done this fall. Student affairs staff, in our student service areas, there will be a rotation of staff on and off site to serve students that may be on campus for class. The majority of student affairs staff will continue to serve students from home via telephone, email, or video chat as they have this fall. Our facilities will continue to be served by staff from public safety, cafeteria, custodial, and maintenance. Other administrative areas will have very limited staff presence on campus. Our expectations is that our faculty and staff will continue to support each other and every single one of you and your fellow students with the same care and responsiveness that you received this fall and in prior semesters. These are the topics we will cover with you this afternoon before concluding with questions and answers. With that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Bakken, our Provost.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Daniels. And thank you. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Daniels. Oh my gosh. And thank you, President Green as well. Good afternoon, Wolfpack community and students. You know, before I begin a quick overview of academic affairs, I just really want to thank you, students, for your ongoing strength and resilience and for continuing your academic journey throughout these memorable days. You are an inspiration and you are awesome. So here's a few updates from academic affairs. How's everything going in academic affairs? I'm not going to fool you. It's been very, very difficult. It's tough on our faculty. You know, the workload is not just putting face-to-face content on a screen, but trying to truly transform face-to-face learning to a remote, engaging, high-quality experience, and then serve you in a different way. Many of our faculty are exhausted, not to mention the stress of daily changes in clinical rules and home stresses and the like. But as always, our faculty, and I'm very proud to share this as the Provost, our faculty are simply getting it done. Daily displays of ingenuity, strength, and an unwavering commitment to do what needs to be done for you, our students. And before I share a little bit about the numbers of academic affairs, let me just share a couple of quotes that I've received of late from our faculty that I think will give you as students a little bit of the spirit of our faculty. First, this is from one of our newest nursing faculty. She's in her first year. She said, "I thought I would share how we flexed in our first semester skills today. One of my students is in quarantine. That did not stop us. We brought her right to class via video, and she worked with her partner in the lab using her materials at home, and they were able to carry on just as if she was here." Boom. That's how we roll at Madison College School of Nursing. Madison College School of Nursing 1, COVID 0. From another faculty, she wrote, "I know this is a tough semester, but I have so enjoyed the ability to come to the classroom and appreciate the availability of the technological tools that have allowed us to flex as needed so our students can keep on learning. We are blessed to be led by great leaders, and I am so grateful to be on the faculty." And lastly, this is what one of our 30-year veterans who retired right in the middle of the shutdown and the transition to remote had to say. He said, "I'm very grateful to the college for having trust in us to know how to best serve our students at this time, mostly for allowing us all to be safe at home and for the resources that allow us to keep working and serve our students, allowing them to successfully complete the semester. I have received so much appreciation and thank yous from the students. That's the best." So hopefully that gives you a little bit of vibe from our amazing faculty. So let's take a look at academic affairs by the numbers. First of all, 70, 25, 5, and 8. As we look ahead to spring, our course portfolio has been planned to mirror fall, with about 70% of our courses fully remote, 25% hybrid with varying meeting patterns, and about 5% fully in person. Adjustments to course scheduling and options and delivery modes will be made based on student success data and feedback, as well as our faculty insights. As the health conditions improve, we will open up as we can, almost a reverse contingency from what we faced before. We will plan for the world as we know it now, and we will adjust as conditions change. We will also leverage more 8-week options to allow for flexibility in scheduling for you, to focus on less courses at one time, or be able to start another course later in the semester. For example, our biotech has revamped their core lab courses in this way. Next, 700, 700, 180, and 2500. Our preparation for faculty to engage you in this remote world has been in an accelerated state, and the benefits will last long after COVID. At current, Madison College has over 700 faculty who have advanced through our Preparing to Teach Online training, which includes curriculum development and demonstration components. That number has more than doubled since March. Add to that over 700 faculty who have completed Preparing to Teach Hybrid. In terms of faculty professional development, in just the 7 months from March to October, and now including November and December, there have been over 180 individual professional development sections that have taken place, with a total attendance closing in on 2,500 faculty. The scope of the content has been broad and deep, focusing on academic technology such as Blackboard, CourseArc, UJA, WebEx, and MS Teams, online student engagement, online live, student retention, equity and inclusion, supporting students with disabilities online, faculty communities of practice, and supporting our second language learners. All of our faculty are currently being surveyed to further tailor professional development options around their needs and help them get ready for spring of 21. Next, credit, no credit, this option will continue in the spring of 21, and it remains transferable to all of our UW partners. Next, ADO and EI, as President Daniels mentioned at the top of the show. One of my top priorities is in line with the college's commitment to equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. As part of that, we named our first academic diversity officer, a new leadership position to facilitate, organize, and lead our equity and inclusion planning and related actions. Dr. Jeff Bradshaw, who's our Dean of International Education, is serving in this role for 2021. Our Academic Affairs Equity and Inclusion Plan will be inclusive of all schools and focus on curricular reforms, student success, professional development, and diversifying our faculty and leadership to match our student demographics. And next, R is for register. Please register when you can. One of the keys to section stability in the spring will be filling up our sections as soon as we can. Low enrolled sections have a tendency to get canceled or combined, and that creates more disruptions. So I invite you to register and get your peers to register as soon as possible. And lastly, TTYF, talk to your faculty. Share what you need. Let them know how you're doing. Let them know how they're doing. They are your front line of support, and they are here for you. Next slide, please. In terms of our academic calendar, the way it's set up for spring of 2021, as of now, which is kind of how we start all statements, as of now, our academic calendar is not changing. Classes are scheduled to start January 19th. Spring break is on the calendar for the week of March 15th. Hopefully a rest week, a time to renew and refresh. And graduation, virtual as it will be this December, is scheduled for May 14th. So as of now, the schedule is set, but we will adjust that as we need to. Thank you, and that concludes my comments. I look forward to the questions later on.
Thank you, Dr. Bakken. I appreciate the transition there, and good afternoon to all of you students. I hope all is going well as we head into these final weeks of the fall semester. As we've talked about, the journey has been very unusual this year. College has always been rigorous, but it's even more challenging when you're doing most of your learning and taking most of your student services and participating in many of your student activities in primarily a remote environment. Earlier today, I emailed each of you an update about the facilities and their access to them from Thanksgiving through the end of the calendar year. And as many of you already know, we regularly close the campus for a winter break. And this year, that'll be December 24th to January the 3rd. Beginning the week of January the 4th, we will be offering our services via remote access only. And those service hours are the ones you find on our website, our normal regular service operation hours. Beginning the week of January the 11th, the facilities will open. We will have a virtual student assistant available at the Truax campus to support you. And I'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide. Finally, the week of January the 19th is when the semester begins. So student services at Truax. What does this mean, the virtual student assistant? Well, this fall, we've been reviewing our service delivery data. We've examined how often people have been engaging in on-site service delivery. We have launched a new Navigate app to allow you, the student, to schedule an appointment with staff. And we've thought about how do we shrink our staffing footprint on campus to better protect the health and safety of you, our students, as well as our college community. So with that in mind, we've identified this concept of the virtual student assistant. A real staff person will be on site at the Truax campus on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That individual will be there to connect any student that might be on campus directly to a representative from financial aid, advising, our RISE and TRIO programs, our enrollment programs, or our career service programs. On Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, if you happen to be on the campus, our colleagues from either public safety or the welcome desk will be there to assist you with connecting to an individual or downloading the Navigate app so you can schedule an appointment with any of those service units. Again, our overwhelming focus on delivering our services in the spring semester will be in the remote environment. And as you can see on this next slide, that during the spring semester, our services that will be offered completely remote include admissions and registration, our advising and counseling services, the career and transfer services, financial aid, and our tutoring services. Those services offering some limited in-person service include our libraries, student life, and our testing services. When we think about the other supports for the students in the spring of 2021, next slide, please. We know that there is a number of other services that you use and have used in the past. And for this spring, services that will be available during the spring include the bookstore, some limited cafeteria services, childcare, select computer labs, the food pantry, our health services, and the STEM center. We will not have general access to the fitness center. That'll be restricted to those students in classes that need to use that space and members of our athletic teams. And we will not have shuttle service between the campuses due to the very limited number of in-person courses that we will be offering across the district. And when we think about the other opportunities that students have to access services or programs, we have a number of services that are not making their sales as they regularly do. That includes, you won't be able to use the art gallery, the bakery counter, gourmet dining, the Wolfpack Techies program, or the massage therapy program. Those services that are offered only via appointment include our barber and cosmetology program, the dental hygiene program, the entrepreneurship center, and the optical dispensary. And again, the fitness center will only be used for classes, same with our print and media lab. And this is basically identical to how these spaces and services operated this fall semester. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Sylvia Ramirez, to talk about bookstore operations.
Sylvia, your microphone is on mute.
I knew I skipped a step. So I wanted to say thank you so much for your feedback and support as we move to a wholly new way of operating in the fall term, in which you can see we're all still getting used to. We know this is all new for you too, and we're grateful for the copious feedback and support that we've received as we've moved into this new stage at the bookstore. For the spring semester, we're focusing on 3 key areas of improvement based on your feedback. That includes improving the ordering processing time, improving our customer service experience, and some website improvements. The changes we've made since the fall include that the bookstore will not be open inside the Truax main building in the spring through February 1st, except by appointment. Appointments are targeted at people who need special accommodations or who need to pay in cash, where everyone else needs to order online and can either pick up their books or have them shipped. We've also revised our hours and processing timelines, and we'll communicate more about that in the next few weeks. We're increasing our staff safely by expanding our footprint on campus and increasing the number of customer service folks working from home to quickly resolve your calls and emails. We have a series of email communications, blog updates, and social media updates that the bookstore will put out through December and January to help ensure we're communicating clearly and frequently, so people aren't left wondering where their books and materials are. And we've also made some website enhancements. The most useful one to students is the login. You can now log into the bookstore website with the same username and password you use for other college services. And this function was not working at the start of the fall term. Using that will keep your account information together and will provide you with a little bit of additional security for your credentials. As we look into this forward to the spring term, there's a lot of dates that we want you to keep in mind. We're going to begin accepting spring book orders on our website on Monday, December 7th. The bookstore, like the rest of the college, will be closed from December 24th until January 3rd for winter shutdown. We expect to fulfill any orders placed by December 18th before winter shutdown. From December 7th, when we first opened for spring books, until December 18th, due to the college closure, we'll only be offering shipping, but shipping will be free. So from December 7th to December 18th, we'll be offering free shipping on all orders. Starting January 4th, we'll offer shipping for a fee and free pickup at Truax, South, Reedsburg, Portage, Watertown, and Fort Atkinson, and the pickup will start January 11th. I do want to note as you think about pickup that to improve the pickup experience at Truax, curbside pickup will be available in the child care turnaround area near the cafeteria entrance on Anderson Street instead of near the gateway entrance. We are asking that people order their textbooks 2 weeks before the semester starts to ensure you have them before classes start. So that would mean by January 5th for the spring of 2021. In general, it'll take 3 to 5 business days for your order to be processed. And finally, we expect the financial aid for book ordering to be available beginning January 11th. And again, encourage you, if you're going to be using financial aid to order your textbooks, that you do that as early as possible. Finally, I just want to take the opportunity to remind you that if you rented textbooks for the fall term, which you probably did, they are due on January 5th. You can return your books to any of the drop boxes outside most of our campuses, all of them except the West Campus. You will find a black textbook rental drop box at the front entrance of the regional and metro campuses, again, except for West, or in the Circle Drive at the Truax campus on Wright Street. If you need to re-rent your books, please contact us as soon as you know you need to do so at bookstore@madisoncollege.edu. And if you have any other questions, you can contact us at that email. And so I am going to hand it over to Shawn Belling to talk to you about technology.
Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you for the opportunity to update students on our plans to continue technology access through our loaner programs as well as other initiatives that are planned by our digital access team and supported by technology services. Next slide, please. Thank you. First, a very quick summary of some of the things that we've done with the digital access program as things stand now. We've continued to loan laptops to students for the fall semester, and we'll continue the loan program for the spring semester. We're working on a long-term model for this program. Hotspots, expansion of Wi-Fi coverage, and long-term planning for broadband infrastructure are also important components of the long-term digital access program. Next slide, please. Thank you. The laptop loaner program will continue for spring 2021. Our teams have updated the ServiceNow form that is used to request a laptop or a hotspot. If students are enrolled for the spring term before December 18th, the equipment loan will automatically be renewed. If a student is not enrolled until after December 18th, students will need to notify the program of their enrollment in order to keep the equipment that you currently have. Communications on this were sent out in late October, and additional communications will be coming out as the weeks go by and we get closer to these dates. Equipment distribution for the spring semester, in-person distribution, will start concurrent with the soft opening on January 11th. And the form that you can use to request equipment also enables you to specify your pickup location or to request that equipment be shipped to you. It's important to keep in mind that equipment can only be shipped to your address on record. We continue to focus on expanding access to broadband internet for our students. For the fall semester, we added hundreds of US cellular hotspots so that we could improve coverage in parts of the district where we knew that our existing Sprint hotspots didn't work as well. We've added Wi-Fi access points throughout all of our campus buildings. And we've also joined a network called Eduroam. Eduroam enables Madison College students to access the Wi-Fi networks of any Eduroam partner literally around the world. But of course, this is most valuable and useful in the Metro Madison area because not only can you access Madison College Wi-Fi, but you also have the ability then to access, for example, UW-Madison Wi-Fi. In other parts of our district, UW-Platteville is also a member. So campuses, their campuses at Baraboo, Sauk City, and Richland Center are also options for Wi-Fi access through this Eduroam program. We've identified location density of our students throughout the district so that we can continue to evaluate and determine potential placements for additional wireless access points. The next step in this part is to reach out to community partners and ask them if they're okay with us using their infrastructure, whether it be their buildings, towers, their internet connection, or other facilities, so that we can add our access points and provide even more Madison College Wi-Fi access throughout the district. As we look ahead, we continue to focus on our priority to plan a long-term program for the laptops. One of our charges is to provide a recommendation to the cabinet by the end of the year on this long-term model. Our options include continuing the loaner program that we've been doing, much like now, some type of a rental program or some type of a managed purchase program, similar to those that are run at institutions such as UW Stout and the Milwaukee School of Engineering. The most critical consideration is what's best for our students. We also have to look at elements such as long-term administration and management, the resources this will take, and we must of course determine the best way to fund such a program so it's sustainable for the long term. Again, our objective is to make a recommendation to the cabinet in December. I'd like to now turn it over to Tina Ahedo to discuss the efforts at our Goodman South Campus and regional campuses.
Thanks, Shawn. Your work is just so incredibly important to helping our students stay connected and be able to get their work done. Good afternoon, students. My name is Tina. I'm with the Goodman South Campus, and I just want to let you know that we are in line with all the dates that you've heard. We are going to be holding our soft opening the week of January 11th and the 19th. So we will be here on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturday for those types of transactions that you might need. We're a one-stop shop, so it's everything from enrollment to financial aid to your bus pass and your one card. We'll be doing services by appointment, but we will be here for those couple of weeks to get you launched for the spring semester. Additionally, we will be a site for, like you heard from Sylvia, for your book pickup. And so we'll be doing a drive-through service, and we'll get those details out and working with the bookstore. So you guys will get all that information as that time draws closer. And then as you heard from Shawn, the campus will also be a drop-off site for equipment if you aren't going to be registering for spring semester. So I hope you will. But if you should need to drop off equipment, we will be a site for that in December, and then again coming back in January. So that's our plans for spring semester, and of course we're here remotely, pretty extensive hours to assist with what other services you may need. Jim, would you like to share the region's plans for spring semester?
Yes, thank you very much, Tina. I appreciate it. Good evening, President Green. Thank you again for the invitation. Members of the Senate, my remarks will be kind of mirror some of the things that you've already heard, but just with a little bit of a regional flavor. The regional campuses will be collecting hotspots and laptops on 2 dates in December. That will be Thursday, December 17th from 10 in the morning until 2, and again on Monday, December 21st from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2. So students are able to drop off any technology to any one of the regional campuses on those 2 days. And that includes students that may be closer to a regional campus than at the Trex or Goodman South campus. We will collect any technology that's available that the students want to turn in if it's more convenient for them to go to a regional campus. That's fine. If students wish to turn in their equipment before those dates or after those dates, all they need to do is contact whatever campus is most convenient. We are fully operational, so if they call us, we will make an appointment and they can drop them off at a time that's convenient with campus staff and the student. So if it's not one of those 2 dates, the 17th or the 21st, they can call before or after those dates, and we will make arrangements for appointments for them to do that. And again, that applies to any student, any Madison College student. They can go to any regional campus. Secondly, like the other campuses that you've heard about at Truax and Goodman South, the regional campuses are also going to begin their soft opening on January 11th. And that week, we will be open on Monday and Wednesday. We are open from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And we'll be open again on Friday from 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. And during those business hours, each of the regionals will be open for appointments for advising, disability resource services, testing, one cards, any technology pickup or any textbooks that need to be picked up, tuition and fee payments, and any registration of fee assistance. So on those dates, that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if students need any of those services, we are available and they can call ahead of time and we will schedule an appointment. If the disability resources and the advising services can be done remotely through a video chat, that's how it'll be preferred. But if a student does need to come into a campus, that's fine. We will make accommodations for them, absolutely. And I'd also like to remind the Senate members that there are food pantries at each of the regional campuses. Students can access them. We do have curbside pickup, and I have to share with you that a number of the campuses have been going through their food pantries regularly, and we have been restocking them. So your colleagues out in the region are using them, and we have it available for them. So thank you very much for the invitation. That's a regional update. As Dr. Bakken said, I'll be available at the end of the presentation if there are specific questions to the regions. Happy to answer them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mark Thomas to discuss events, travel, and athletics for spring of 21. Dr. Thomas?
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Dr. Mark Thomas here. I'm the Executive Vice President for Finance Administration, and I function as the Chief Operating Officer for the college. Our students are inspiration. You are the reason we're here, so thank you for taking time out of your busy lives. I have a few brief updates for you, and then we'll wrap it up and get to your questions. The first, regarding events and travel. With very, very few exceptions, there will be no in-person sponsored events on any campuses through the rest of the academic year, through May 2021. And also with very few exceptions, there will be no college-sponsored or sanctioned travel for students or any employees minimally through the rest of this academic year. So again, at least until May. Athletics in the spring is still to be determined. You may know all fall sports were canceled with the thought that they might occur in the coming spring of 2021. Teams were allowed to practice this fall under very tight social distancing, masking, and equipment cleaning protocols. But even that has mostly wrapped up, and we're really looking to make a decision about whether or not we will have athletics in the spring by December 1st. Now these decisions all are obviously due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you could go to the next slide, Amy. And the college's interest in keeping our community as safe and healthy as possible. And the good news is it's been working. So everything you read right now about the spikes and increase in hospitalizations and all the statistics you're hearing have actually not had much impact on the college as it relates to what has happened on campus. Off campus, of course, we don't know what's happening in folks' individual lives, and we know there are many, many negative effects that we're all facing: financial hardships, health issues, virtual learning for those of you who have school-age children. But our college community has really rallied against the efforts we put in place. And kept our campuses in a good position. The fact is our protocols are being followed, and when we're made aware of a positive case, we are rapidly conducting our own contact tracing as it relates to our fellow college community members, and we determine what, if any, action we need to take. The student has to quarantine, if the entire class has to quarantine, and we take those actions very quickly. And finally, we know we have zero known transmissions from one person to another on campus. There have been instances where some college community members who are roommates may have infected each other, but as we follow up with their instructors or their coaches, we're confident those transmissions occurred off campus, likely at their shared residence. So I just really want to emphasize our appreciation for how the entire campus community and students in particular have been very respectful of treating the pandemic seriously. And what may seem like conservative measures to some people is actually what's keeping us much safer and healthier than we would be otherwise, and then you read about at other institutions. You should know that we are continually monitoring conditions all across our district through our local communities and on an hourly basis with our COVID screener data. And there's not one single metric we look at to determine if we're taking further actions. It's so complicated. We look at a wide combination of factors that have guided our decision making from the beginning until now, and that's what will guide us going forward, looking at many, many different factors to determine if we need to take additional actions. And of course, we will continue to give timely updates and notifications of any changes that will impact you. Also related to your health, I think Dr. Casper mentioned our health services will remain open during the break. I just want to say specifically, if you use the GHC clinic at the Truax campus, you should know they will continue to have normal hours operating Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m., even as the college has restricted access over the next couple of months. They'll even be open the day after Thanksgiving and 7:30 to 12 on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So they'll only be closed Christmas, New Year's, and Thanksgiving. So you'll still have access to that healthcare. And then finally, although it may seem redundant, I would be remiss if I don't repeat what we've all heard for the last 8 to 9 months or so, and that's cover your face, wash your hands frequently, keep it at least 6 feet apart, and I'll modify this last one to say, please only come to campus if you must, and at all times if you're feeling sick, either stay home or go home. Again, I appreciate your time and what has been tremendous cooperation in helping keep our campus communities safe and healthy, and I'll hand it back to Dr. Daniels to close before we get to your questions. Thanks.
Well, now you've heard from across our college what we are doing and what some of our plans are. I think this is a wonderful opportunity now to open it up for questions. And I don't know who's going to facilitate that, but let's go with the questions.
Yeah, Dr. Daniels, I will be reading off the questions here. And I would just like to say to any students to continue to put questions in the chat box if you have any, so that they can be answered. But starting off, in terms of how classes, services, facilities, etc. are run, is there anything really changing from the current semester to the next? This is like a two-parter here. From that information I've gathered, including President Daniels' recent State of the College address, it doesn't sound like there's any real differences.
I'm just reviewing the question right now.
Oh, no.
The spring semester will closely mirror what we've done in the fall. And we've done an excellent job in maintaining health. Safety is our #1 priority, but also ensuring that students are getting the quality learning that we've come to know. So they will be closely similar, both the spring and the fall terms.
All right, next one we have, and I think this is the two-parter here. Do we have to pay the commuter fee if all of our classes are online? And that goes with, why do non-residents have to pay for the commuter fee when they do not commute to campus, use B-Cycle or use the bus system?
Yeah, thank you, Shawn. This is Dr. Casper. I'll respond to that question. Currently, we don't have assessment of the commuter fee due to the largely online classes that we've been offering. And so as we think about the commuter fee, what it typically covers are bus passes, it covers the inter-campus shuttle system, and again, those things that are being used much less than normal. And so the cost is reduced because the shuttle is not running, but we are still covering the bus pass and we are still covering parking this semester. So individuals would be assessed a fee for that purpose if they're taking classes at the Madison campus. If you're taking online courses, you are not assessed that fee if you are taking any online courses.
All right. Next question. Due to COVID-19, companies are making certain positions permanently remote even after the pandemic is over. Will Madison College be following suit with relation to classes? If so, will students have deciding input on this permanent change?
As we think about our employees and think about faculty and staff, this COVID is actually providing us the opportunity to do things differently. But as we do things differently, we always keep in mind what will be the impact on students. And so we will always keep that at the forefront. I know that with the cabinet and deans and directors and other supervisors and leaders within our college, we will have full discussion regarding how we're going to move forward in a post-COVID environment. I would suggest also that we will engage the students in terms of their interest in the post-COVID environment. And once those have been gathered, then that decision will be made by myself and through cabinet.
All right. Next question. Why are online courses more expensive with the online course fee? What does the fee provide?
Turina or Mark or
Yeah, I can give a shot. Mark might want to come in and tag team with me. The online fee is it's a long-standing fee that's actually implemented by the WTCS. It was originally designed to support the online infrastructure, additional technology and infrastructure needed to support and grow online courses. Currently in the president's group around the WTCS and in the staff, they're looking at the currency of that fee. Does it still make sense in today's environment and in the environment we'll be in going forward? That would be a WTCS board decision, but the relevance and sense of that fee is currently open to discussion. But that gives you a little bit of a historical look and where we're at now with it.
All right. Next question here. What will be the faculty-student ratio on campus during the spring semester?
I could probably start that too. You know, if we don't start our answers with "at this time," we start it with "it depends." And the answer to that is it depends. It depends what program you're in. It depends where you are in the college. We're seeing our student faculty ratios obviously shrink. We have some clinicals now that are 4-to-1 ratio instead of 6-to-1 or 8-to-1 or 10-to-1. But in every program and course across the district, we have reset all of our classrooms, all of our labs to meet safety requirements. So, you know, instead of when we do have a hybrid or face-to-face, instead of 25 students, you're more likely seeing 10 to 12. So the student faculty ratio is changing based on room constraints and safety protocols, and also how industries are shifting. But it depends what program you're in.
All right. Next question here. Can someone speak to transfer agreements between our school and four-year schools? Are there any conversations to expand these questions for students interested in out-of-state or HBCUs, for example? Not quite sure what that means.
Historically Black colleges and universities. Tim?
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. So there are existing transfer agreements with tens of institutions that are already in existence. And speak to the HBCU piece, and then I'll ask Dr. Bakken to fill in behind me about what transfer agreements have been put into place during this time of COVID to support our students. But we do have tens of agreements in place with institutions throughout Wisconsin, and indeed other online institutions as well. As it relates to HBCUs, last year we began some outreach to a number of HBCUs, primarily in the Virginia and Washington, D.C. area, to begin putting together possible agreements for students to transfer. That work began late in the fall of last year and continued into the spring. Obviously, things both for us and for our partners became difficult due to the impacts of the COVID and the move to remote, but we are continuing to work with those institutions to finalize agreements. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Bakken to provide some additional detail.
Thank you very much, Dr. Casper. I guess I would say in a general sense, transfer is an incredibly important part of what we do at Madison College. Of course, we have a college transfer option, but we have many transfer agreements in place across industry, across disciplines, across programs, and our strategy on transfer is not only alive and well, but it's been accelerated through this. Just recently, we've signed 2+2 agreements with a number of schools, UW-Platteville included, in engineering, vet tech, digital media. We are in conversations with the UW School of Business for really the first time in my 23 years at the college, so a very exciting development. Our focus in general on transfer is to look at what of the high potential careers in our area require a bachelor's degree, and provide a 2+2 option for US students where you can transfer everything you've earned at the associate degree level and transfer that with no redundancy or lost credit on your pathway to a bachelor's. So we have a phenomenal transfer center, the deans and faculty. This is one of our top priorities, to continue to develop robust options in transfer.
Thank you. And just to answer this other question here, it relates somewhat. Is the credit, no credit transferable only to UW schools?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. It is, first of all, just a reminder, the credit, no credit option is up to you as students. You can decide if you want to opt into that. We have a memorandum of understanding between the WTCS and the UW system for credit, no credit to transfer to all the UW system schools. If you're going to another university, what I would recommend is that you work with an advisor and check kind of the local transfer conditions, if you will. But we did build an agreement for no question transfer of credit, no credit to all the UW system schools.
Awesome. Next question here is, was there a growth in the spring enrollment when compared to fall semester?
If the question refers to last spring and to this fall, the growth is not there. Normally, our spring term has less growth than the fall term. And we are expecting that through this year as well. Tim, you want to add anything to that?
I think that's an accurate summary. When we're looking at this spring compared to last spring specifically, at this moment in time, we are ahead by tens of admits and tens of applicants. And I shared that with the Board of Trustees earlier this month. Does that mean we'll have more enrollments this spring compared to last spring? Too early to tell. But we are continuing and just really started our marketing campaign in earnest after the election because we knew that advertising space is extremely expensive during October and November. And so we made the decision to really go out beginning Thursday, the week of the election. And so we will begin to see whether or not we have increases in applicants, admits, and ultimately enrolled students as we progress into January.
Thank you. We have a couple questions I see left. I would continue to encourage any students, if they have a question that they would like to ask, to put it in the chat box, and so it can be answered. Next question, COVID cases are out of control across the state. The metrics that the college is looking at that would cause the college to shut down again or become more restrictive with what would be offered in person?
Mark?
I would just sort of repeat what I said earlier, that there is not one metric that we look at. We look at a wide variety of things across the entire district. So we look at what the local health, public health agencies are reporting in terms of spikes and positive tests and hospitalizations and community spread in their communities. And then we look at our very own data, and we look at what's happening with those folks who are coming to our campus and reporting how they're feeling through the COVID screening app and speaking with our COVID screeners. And so we take all of that into consideration. We look at the numbers of employees who are taking sick time related to COVID related reasons. And so we take all of that into account. There's not any one or two measures, and there's not a metric that if something hits a certain number, it triggers us to make a different decision, because we are in a constant review of it at all times, literally by the hour. We're looking at the data, and we get notifications all day long. And we're participating in local public health agency phone calls multiple times a week, and other emergency responder service agency coordination calls. And so we have a huge amount of information coming in that we sift through. And so when you're seeing changes in operating hours or how we're restricting access, those are all in response to a wide number of situations that we're reviewing. Not any one metric. But again, just want to emphasize what I said before, we will at all times give you timely information about how things are evolving and any changes that would affect you as students at the college.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question we have, in these uncertain times, are we more or less able to adopt or maybe pivot different learning models? For example, team-based learning, flipped classrooms, hybridized learning, or universal design learning as permanent mass in college, since some of these are essentially in effect due to circumstance. Can you characterize the mass in college learning model as it is today?
Perfect for Turina.
Thank you, Shai. I see your question. You're such a deep thinker. I love it. Here's a summary of how I would respond to that very broad question and very thoughtful question. The answer is yes, we are in a perfect position to pilot, take some risks, try some things out. Is everything we're trying going to be part of our permanent portfolio and delivery modes going forward? Probably not. But I actually really believe that this crisis has changed how we do what we do forever. Now, that absolutely does not mean that we are going to be an all online college, or that 70, 20, 5 is the ratio of remote to hybrid to face forever. Absolutely not. I think this is a time of great urgency and opportunity, and we are going to learn what works. We're going to look at data, student success data, faculty experience, student experience, and we're going to continue to refine how we do what we do going forward. I would anticipate that throughout, hopefully later spring into the summer, next fall, that we will see a gradual shift back to a more balanced ratio of the most current high-tech remote options available, including the use of simulation, artificial intelligence, virtual reality. But I also know that we will always have the tried and true face-to-face human beings in a room delivery mode as part of our portfolio. So we're going to experiment. Yes, this is the time that affords us the opportunity to do that. But I think we're going to come out on the other side of this from an academic perspective much stronger than we were going into it.
Awesome. Next question. Is the textbook financial aid open to international students? What are the eligibility terms?
Sylvia?
Yes, thanks. So whether or not you're eligible for book financial aid depends on your financial aid package. And that is something that you would have to talk directly to the financial aid office about. They communicate that information over to the bookstore to let us know what people's book aid is. So I recommend you talk to financial aid.
Awesome. And next question, do we know what the graduation ceremony will look like in May?
Tim?
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. At this moment, again, we are planning for a virtual ceremony as we did last May and as we are planning for this December. We know that's not the ideal or preferred for many of our graduates, but unless there are radical changes to the good in our health conditions, we are more likely than not going to have a virtual graduation ceremony in May.
Thank you. Just a heads up, last question, unless if we have any other questions that want to be asked, I would put them in the chat box so they can get answered. But this last question that I have, if I take hybrid classes next semester, when during the semester will the in-person part happen?
Dr. Bob.
Yep, I'll start out with those famous two words. It depends. It depends on the course. Some of our courses are starting out with a lot of online theory to start the semester, and we'll have face-to-face critical labs and so on later in the semester. Other courses need, the hybrid especially, they have their face-to-face component up front in the semester. They'll have however many course meetings they need to support the theory later in the semester. So it really depends on the course. And when you register, your meeting pattern should be clearly delineated in your course information so that you know exactly when the face-to-face components are happening.
Awesome, thank you. It looks like I did misspeak here for a second. Regarding the bookstore, the slide said free shipping ends December 23rd. You said December 18th. Which is it?
Sylvia?
I don't know if that was already
Sure.
answered.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to clarify. The bookstore free shipping is available through the 18th, so your order would need to be placed by the 18th, and it'll be shipped by the 23rd.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm just trying to check here for the last bits of questions. Well, there was that. Bear with me here. Okay. Will there be CARES funding in spring? And I think if that question was answered, there will be. Is that correct? Or
Sylvia?
someone specify?
I think Sylvia can answer the CARES funding.
Sure. So the college received CARES funding. In part, we received grant funding, just direct to students, and then we received institutional funding. I assume this question is about the grant funding directly to students. We've distributed the vast majority of that funding, but we do have funds still available to meet emergency needs, and we're continuing to discuss what additional funds we may have or additional strategies for aiding students. So the answer is, it depends, to borrow from Turina, but certainly there is still some CARES funding available. If you're looking for funding for a specific purpose, I highly recommend you reach out to the financial aid office.
Awesome. And next question. So this is for everyone, I assume. I want all of my friends to succeed in life. I encourage them to take on as many credits as they are comfortable, even in these uncertain times, as a form of interpersonal development and self-care. What is the marketing strategy I can share with my friends? How can I sell the idea of going to college when there are so many variables to our everyday life?
Tim?
Thank you, Dr. Daniels. When I look at that question, I think it's one of the most basic questions that any individual who's considering going to college has before them. And that is, I'm going to go on a journey. I'm going to spend time and money. What am I going to be spending my time and money on, and what will I get in return? And I think we know from hard data, right, that those individuals who go on and get a college degree are going to do better economically in their life. They're going to be able to better support themselves and their family members, and from a stability perspective. I think when you think about how hard it is, because it is hard work to be a student, as you all know, we here at Madison College have great faculty who are engaging you in the classroom, and they're listening to you and supporting you. And I think you can share that story with your friends. I also think that, as you may know, we have fantastic advisors. And one of our colleagues in here who hasn't spoken yet today is Gretchen Rixey. She's our director of our academic advising and career and employment services. And her team and other teams within student affairs regularly engage with our students to help them find what is that passion point. I know I should be at college, but I don't yet know what to do. And we'll help you find that passion point so that you can pursue a program that leads to a degree that allows you again to go out and support yourself and your family if you've already started one. And so I think sharing that story with your peers is one of the most important things you can do, because when they hear it from you, our students, your experiences, they know that it'll be something that they too can pursue here at Madison College, that they too might find their success, that they too might find new highs in their personal lives that they had not found before. So that would be my advice to those looking to help convince a friend to come to college.
Thank you. Well, that looks like to be all the question. One more possible one. Up as a thank you, and I was going to pass that same thing along. Thank you to everyone who's spoken, all the college administration who's answered all these questions truthfully and just with complete transparency. It really means a lot. I would like to say, I would also like to just make it clear that the Student Senate has office hours, virtual office hours that you can check out in Wolfpack Connect and drop in and speak with one of us. We're pretty much available all during the week, and we're here if you have any questions or concerns that you want to bring to our attention. But besides that, again, just want to thank everyone who participated in putting this together in the time that we had available. It really does mean a lot, and the Senate really does appreciate that. With that, though, I think we are going to be concluding then for the rest of the evening.